2. Anybody have any changes to the agenda? Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Privilege of the floor. We have nobody here. So,
Well, we are here.
well, I mean from the,
But
from the
floor.
public
Public.
on the floor.
There being no public
we're in our
comments.
chairs.
So we must be hopefully
We have a couple of minutes to do a motion on. The first is, do we have any changes to the minutes of the last meeting, September 8th?
Yes. It's noted that Nancy Mesek was absent, but then she motioned to accept the treasurer's report.
I am very talented.
You entered late?
No, I did not.
You were straight absent?
I was straight absent. Yes, I was.
Does anyone recall who that might have been?
Maybe me, I don't
I
know.
think it was Norma, yeah.
I don't have
Either
mine.
No, that could very
My
well be.
agenda.
I sometimes put an N down, and then.
Sure,
No,
and then think
okay.
it was Nancy.
We're interchangeable.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Any other changes?
Skimmed through it and received myself.
If-
See if you remember anyone else.
Was looking for my name.
If not, may I have a motion to accept the minutes for the September 8th meeting as amended?
I'll make that motion.
Made by Alan Mary, seconded by
Oh.
everybody. Bernie. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. We also have minutes from the September 22nd work session. Does anybody see any changes? No? Then can I have a motion to accept the minutes from the September 22nd work session? Motion made by, seconded by
The two N's.
Nancy, all in
Two N's.
favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I actually wrote out Nancy.
Nancy. The treasurer's report. Jack,
Thank you, Keith.
you're on.
Good evening, everybody.
Evening, Jack.
We have the reports through September 30th, which is the first quarter. And just briefly, on the income side, the library charges the last 3 months have been really well, so we're running pretty significant over budget on library charges. So they've really turned around from a year ago, I guess after we made that change with the one scheduling for the DVDs or something, the fee or whatever, but I know that's not our main focus, but at least that's, on track and doing better than we anticipated. The salaries are still trending a couple thousand a month below budget, and year to date we're 6,600 below budget. The first payroll in October was below a little bit, but I just did the one for this week earlier this afternoon, and that one was over a little bit. So year to date we're still roughly 6,000 under, and over after more than a quarter of the way through the year. So the salary line is staying in check, and that's after the increase. So the way Matt and I figured the increase, we're keeping to what we would expected to do. I entered some more books, so August is pretty much almost completely entered. September there was a couple of bills entered, as you can see, but not many. But again, as we always say, I would just assume that books are probably going to be right on year to date. I don't think anything else really stood out for the month. Oh yeah, back to the income side for one more second. We did get an RCLS grant in September, the 4,200. So that looks like we're dramatically over budget, but that's one we just spread out evenly over 12 months. But just I figured that should be noted because it's a pretty good size grant that we got that in September. And on the expenses, on the total expenses for the year to date, 320 expenses, 299 budget. So we're over by like 21, but that's mainly because of the loan, the sped up loan payment. So without that, we would probably really be about 10,000 under budget. And one other good piece of good news that we got was the retirement bill that we have to pay. It's due in February, but the one that we always pay, if we pay it by December, we get like a 1% discount or something. It came in at 87,546, and I think we budgeted 96,000. So we're gonna have like a 8,000 and change below budget.
Nice.
So that's a little bit of nice surprise.
Well, that's having
Right, like they had said it was finally gonna
Yeah.
taper off. It looks like it's tapering off, maybe not as quickly as we hope, but at least it's going in the right direction. So that's like 8,000 in our favor. And then also I'll mention that on October 2nd, we got our first tax check for the year, which was 50% of the full amount, so it was like 600, it's 623,883 minus the TAN of 200,000 and the interest on the TAN. So I think the check was for like 423,000 or so. So this report doesn't reflect that in our cash side, cause it was a couple days after that, but right now we're pretty much, in good position, cash wise, cause we got that big check in. So more or less, we're heading on track, and I think in here we put the tax check budget as if we get it September, cause some years we got it on September 30th, but I think we got it like the first week in October, so it's just a matter of timing, but we did get it, and now we're in fine shape on cash. And the TAN was, gone now, cause it was paid back when they gave us the check, they just netted it out, so.
Great. Does anybody have any questions for Jeff?
On the paying off of the mortgage, that payment was in September or in August?
August. Oh yeah, it was the 50,000. But remember that 50,000 was the regular August payment of like 8,600 plus the 42,000. Like if you see in the very first column, it was 50,965. So that was the August first payment, and then I think at the August meeting is when we decided. So we made the payment like a day or two after that, and it was like another 42.
Alright, so then September,
There was nothing. Yeah, nothing. Right.
alright,
And
Right.
then for the quarter,
okay, so then that's the quarter.
Yeah, exactly. The July through September is the 59,316.
Okay,
Right. Oh yeah, because you could see that we were budgeted for the whole year of 6284. So the difference, I guess, is our savings. Well, the 6284 minus the 59,316 plus the interest below it.
right,
So we save like $500 or $600, like we
Okay.
thought. But yeah, that should be out now completely. But it'll show up on the budget line because we spread the budget out, over the 5 months through January or whatever. So it'll just show up as a budget number, but zero actual expense.
but I guess what I'm trying to see, I guess we won't see it, we'll see it for the October statement. We're gonna start seeing about $8,000 more in our total amount of money each month that would have
Yeah.
been,
Right, the cash will go down by that much less. It will be, right, the cash balance should be benefiting now because,
I don't know if that'll show up in October because it's 8,000 a month until we catch up to the 42, right?
yeah, because we kind of prepaid a little bit.
We
That-
prepaid a few months worth of it, and so
Right, that's
it
why
might be more like November or December before it looks.
right, that's why our year to date, it looks like we're over budget because we did that big lump in the one shot.
Right.
'Cause as
So
of now,
it's
we-
33, so that's like 4 months of.
Right, we'd still have 3 more payments left, which is like 25 grand. So if you subtract that out, we're really running year to date under budget. And then when you add in the retirement, that we know that that's gonna be 8,000 less, then we got a little bit of things going our way, going into the new year. But yeah, the cash now should definitely we should have 8,000 plus per month left over,
right,
better off than what we would have been.
right, okay,
Right.
thank you.
Thank you.
May I have a motion to accept the treasurer's report?
I'll make
Alan, Mary, Norman, seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you, Jeff.
Great, thanks everyone, appreciate that.
Thank you, Jeff.
You too, have a good night, everybody,
night.
thank you,
Good night.
thanks.
Good evening, everybody.
And that,
Big news of the month is that Linda Peterson decided to take a job at Middletown. She's worked there for a while at part-time capacity in the children's room. She's our full-time, she's a supervisor of circulation, you know her, I'm sure, if you've seen her. So we're sad to see her go, but I have a plan in place already. She'll hear more about as things progress, but we're basically using the same people we have in-house. We have a lot of part-timers, and I'm gonna move them into more part-time, not full-time. We're working with a lot of part-timers for a reason, the cost of insurance among them, so. But I don't think this change is going to mean we need to hire anybody new, except possibly for an afternoon high school page at the most. That's all I'll say on that for now until I discuss the details with the relevant parties and make sure that everybody's in agreement with how I'd like to do things. So far, so good, and I think it'll be a good team. Other than that, what happened this month?
how many full-time employees is that leave us with?
Well, that will be, we have, it's hard to count them.
Manhell,
Yes, you've got the payroll stuff.
Linda was our full-time employee in that particular department. Under her is Cheryl, who we consider full-time reduced. She worked 30 hours. And then also underneath her is Norma, who works 35 hours, but not all of them at CERC. Some is devoted to the office. So those are the only people working the equivalent to receive benefits.
Okay.
Let's see, sorry, I just worked for hours and hours on something and my head is still in it. Oh, Joanne's back full-time in technical services. You see the holiday schedule that Carol put together, that's going out to RCLS. Snow removal guys came in with the same bid they came with last year. This is their second block of 3, they're 2 years into it. They didn't raise the price at all, so I went ahead and signed off on it. They were happy with their work. Well, you guys, most of you, I think everyone was there for the community fact-finding forums, at least one of them.
Not the Saturday one. Some people didn't show up. See.
Was a Saturday was a little rougher than
It was.
Was it?
Mhm.
Tuesday was nicer?
Mhm.
But overall, I think I'd say the vibe was pretty positive. And yeah, and then we'll discuss that further. Actually, I want to bring this up. I think I mentioned to you guys that I'd put up the sheet that the architects used to gather information from the crowd that night.
Oh, yeah.
I put up, well, David helped me, obviously, put up an HTML version of that same thing, and now I'm up to almost 30 more. So,
Excellent.
so together with what we collected there at the meetings and this, we've got a pretty good sampling of people's ideas and what they'd like, and they're almost, I mean, they're all positive, you know.
Well, that's
So,
good.
and it's the things you think.
As soon as you
No,
said that.
it's all good.
Yeah,
Good.
It's the
Good.
things we recognized.
Right,
Right.
right. It's just basically verifying what we really.
Even parking comes up quite a bit.
Oh, yeah.
Sometimes in caps.
Yes, I saw that.
Let's see. Yeah, thanks again to Jim and the friends for helping us out with freshmen.
Those donuts were delicious.
Delicious.
There were the leftovers were donated
Yes,
to
back
the
to us,
staff. I don't know if that was, were they still fresh?
Well, the donuts were no, but the cider was just being some of it was partaken of tonight. So, a lot of stuff going on. Michelle caring for going to the Fall in the Books program. They go every year. RCLS puts on. It's a nice event. Katie. Oh, Katie's working hard with some other OLA people, Orange Library Association people, on this this county-wide big read event. This time it's about a book called Unbroken. Hillenbrand, I believe is the name of it. I put it here. It's about a veteran. He just died actually at 97 last July. It's just about his story. So they're sort of recognizing veterans and recognizing the struggles that vets face, and this is part of it. Jack's going to a payroll law conference tomorrow in Middletown. NYLA's coming up. I haven't gone in a couple of years, New York State Library Association, so I'm looking forward to it. We generally sort of we cycle through. So Eleanor goes 1 year, I go 1 year, Michelle goes 1 year, so it's my turn to go. That's in Saratoga Springs, and they're good. I mean, they're New York based, so the information is pretty relevant generally for for the public library in New York State. Ann Roche and I are going to the Orange County Orange County Historical Society's annual dinner, invited by Michelle Figliomini, who is one of our foremost friends. Her father, actually, Mr. Pomares, was the man that put together. Figliomini, Michelle, put together our archives here originally, and she still helps us to maintain them. She's a great library supporter. Puts together all of the questions for the trivia contest every year. Well, let's see. Friends have some things coming up. I saw in the paper the other day. I didn't know how much they were doing, but one of them is a Heritage Quest and Ancestry.com tutorial or primer, depending on where you're at with that. Yeah, that's going to bring out a lot of people. I think they capped it at 15. It's going to be down here with computer laptops. And appraisal fair turnout wasn't so good this year. They think it had to do with not enough PR, or maybe there's some other things going on that day, but I'm sure they'll do it next year. We'll get some.
Well, we're thinking of going every other year.
Every other year? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
That was the latest thinking on that.
Building and grounds. Yes, we had some. C.R. Wolf comes every year to inspect the boiler and the furnace and such, and they had to replace a couple pressure gauges that were rusting, so it came to about $1,100.
So that $1,100, it was more than just replacing those gauges? Or that's what it costs?
I think it was just the gauges, yeah.
Really?
I had a discussion with the guy that did it. He said that,
It costs a lot.
yeah, it's an old
Okay.
boiler, and yeah, they were just they're just expensive parts. They were fairly big things. I mean, I didn't know they were gauges even. They were just like they were contraptions. They had like metal things sticking out of them. There was one on the wall and one on the unit. He said both of them were damaged, and they controlled, I guess, the pressure inside. One of them controlled how the pressure on the high side. One of them would kick on when it went low or something. He gave me a whole. But I told Danny about it, and he seemed to be. I mean, he seemed to think that's about what those things go for. So.
Danny?
The generator was inspected. That happens once a year in September. That's working fine. Yeah, we made sure, Jim, again, to notify the TKC guys to come when we call for the last cleanup, so that because I think these sycamores hold onto their leaves after everything else. We had a year where we had them clean up out there, and 2 days later, all the sycamore leaves came down. So they're holding off on that. Yeah, and I've talked to a couple people about wind. I have a guy coming Thursday from Spalaka's. Without getting into details, I talked to a couple sort of contractors slash I don't know what you'd call them, building counselors that aren't interested in actually doing the work, so I can get a good sense of without being concerned about vested interest about what we can do about the windows. And their understanding of the law is that under certain square footage, you can deal with those things without the whole remediation process. You'd have to do them in blocks and such. But he said double check with a painter, and so I have a painter coming on Thursday, and we'll see what we can do. I know we want to do the bare minimum on them. We just want to keep them waterproof and critter-proof, right? The class continues with the great Jerry Nichols. It's an excellent class. I mean, it's funny. I in the space of 3 hours, I walk out of it thinking, God, if I only had known. You know what I mean? Stuff that we had gone around and around with for meetings on end. There was the answer. I mean, one of the things I found it very interesting, actually, and it pertains to this because we're always concerned about journal entries. He said schools have to do journal entries on their budget. Libraries do not have to do them. He said you can keep two, you can even keep two records of the budget, one without the journal entries and one with. The one without is a good planning document, because it reminds you of the places where you went over, rather than looking at it at the end of the year and everything is perfect and you don't remember. So he said one of the things he liked to do is not make journal entries, so that, but it's just good to know that it's not required by law. But he said people that have worked on school boards usually import that idea, thinking that that's right, and that happens a lot. He said you'll often find that school boards do things in a very specific way across New York State schools that we don't have to do. Sometimes they're good practices to import, and sometimes you don't need, it's just not worth it. But I just thought that was interesting, because we often worry ourselves over these lines and whether they're over or under. He said it's the bottom line, that's the only thing you're really worried about in the end, making sure that you're on budget. But from that point, you can do it however you like. But
Yeah.
just one piece of wit and witticism that I picked up. Other than that, I'm trying to think, what else? It was a busy month, but a lot of times by the time we get to a meeting, it's sort of a blur. Any questions about
Journal entries.
journal entries?
We should keep a journal.
Yeah.
That's what I have to tell the board. A couple of things that I noted in Michelle's report, and one is the enthusiasm that people are showing toward, new building. Are we, maybe this is something to discuss with Paul and Megan,
Mhm.
is how do we harness that energy
Mhm.
so that we don't lose it? Because these are very enthusiastic people. One of the young women, I believe she's the PTA president over at Scotchtown, came
Yeah,
to
she's
both
great.
forums.
Right.
And she wants to be involved.
I believe that
So-
this was her doing. I
Yeah.
think she got a lot of people that couldn't make it that night because they had kids
Mhm.
and stuff
Sure.
Mhm.
It's
to
much
get
easier
to.
to do
That's
that
what
at
we
home.
sort of talked. I said I'll get that up on there. That way at least you can, put
Yeah.
your 2 cents in online, and we'll have it, and we'll send it along to the architects.
So that's something to discuss
Yes,
with Paul,
definitely.
should we have an ad hoc committee, how do we harness that energy to help us get the message out to the larger community?
Right.
Something to do, because I really don't wanna lose that. The other one is, in Michelle's report, she wanted the board to have everyone be on the same page, and this is
Right.
something that we've discussed
Right.
before, as to when people come in and ask questions about new building, is what's the message?
Mhm.
And it should be a cohesive, uniform message, and that's something that we need to talk about, so.
Oh, definitely. I mean, I feel like right now we're sort of in this kind of, what do you call it? Sort of
Holding
a
pattern?
holding pattern, thank you, that was the message I was looking for. And I'm not sure I'm letting them know what I know, and I'm letting them know the answers that the sort of official answer right now is we really don't know. We're looking, and as soon as we have something a little more substantial, I'm gonna make sure that you all have, a sheet of paper with questions and answers. This is what, these are the limits of what we know and what we can disclose, because this is outside of that, you're guessing, we don't want
Mhm.
guessing, we want.
Exactly.
So, I'm not sure what the next step is as far as I'm sort of, I guess, waiting for.
On the
all
timeline, what is
Yeah,
what
I
is
don't have
next?
that with me, but,
What is,
On
have
the
you spoken
timeline?
to them
I didn't
after
speak to
the-
them about changing the timeline. That's right. We have I think they are still under the impression that we're going for a referendum in April.
2015?
Yes, which I don't know. I can feel myself getting red as I think about it, because that seems very fast now. I mean,
Yes.
at the time we first planned this stuff, it seemed, but now it's seeming like that's compressed. I'm not sure. It's a tightrope walk, because on the one hand, you generate interest and you generate people, you generate, as you say, the enthusiasm, and you don't want to drag that out too long, because then it just starts to sort of, pitter away. At the other hand, you don't want to go so soon that we're feeling rushed into it. But I don't know.
Are they coming back to us with
what,
their,
That's what I'm figuring. I figure when they get some kind of, I mean, I'll check, but I figure that they make the next move. It's sort of like they collected this data, and now
They're gonna make recommendations or present a
right
report of some
about
sort.
what they,
yeah,
and from there we should be able to tell what it looks like as far as the timeline. I'm sure. I mean,
they'll present a report to us, with what can be done with this building and what can be
Both,
done with
right.
Salesian,
right,
and then it's up to us to choose which one we're going with,
right.
right?
I think that's right.
Okay. So the answer to people when they come in is, the architects have the information and they're putting it in a report form so that the board is doing its due diligence.
Right.
in recommendations to the public.
You started saying something?
It's not necessary.
Okay.
No, it's just, no, just discussed it.
So if you could find out when that report's gonna
Yeah,
be,
sure,
right,
sure.
so we can expect that.
Yeah, I'll send this stuff out to them tonight, what I have. It keeps coming in. I was surprised I got 3 more today, but it's more than they can work with. And see if they can have it by the next meeting, so we know where we're.
Well, I scanned through most of those, and one thing that's commonly on each person's is more children's space and resources and programs, parking, and more resources all around. The reasons why we're looking at
Yeah, right.
finding a better solution. So
In the agenda, we have the public forums recap, so are we sure
Yes, we
doing
should
that
see
now,
it.
or
Right.
come back to it, or?
Let's wait. I'm done. Anything else?
it's
Not
pretty sure.
There's an overlap with you,
Yeah.
with all the committee.
But do you have any
Any
questions for
questions,
Matt? Well, which we already bombarded him with.
They're gonna use the input from the public
Right.
in their report.
Right.
I imagine, so.
Yeah.
That'll be interesting to read. Whether they're going to, how they're gonna structure it, whether they're gonna see it as people are presented these problems and these are the solutions, or these are how they're gonna address them. So.
Yeah, I don't think there are any surprises.
That's what
We've discussed all
we and
these-
others have been discussing
yeah.
for the past 10 years.
So,
So.
Okay, committee reports, I mean, we overlap here, physical resources. Is there any
Nothing new.
further
Didn't
discussion
meet, no.
there? Not sure what community resources is.
That's the newsletter, that's
Yeah.
with the editorials we
Oh.
put in the paper, and that kind of stuff.
I was happy to see that the both the Independent and the Chronicle put our front page twice, I believe, in
Yeah.
both of them.
Yeah.
Front page,
Right. And that was.
it's a good thing.
That was good.
Do you think maybe for the community resources, we should have like a follow-up to what happened at the forums?
I don't know. Beyond a thank you for
Other
turning out.
than-
I was thinking
yeah.
of thank you.
Really,
Yeah.
That's what I'm gonna do
yeah,
on the webpage.
beyond a thank you, I don't really know what else we need to do.
I think
Because they're probably the people that went, plus the people that didn't go but are interested, are gonna wanna know, well, where are we with this? And,
Well, just direct them back to the website so we don't have it all over the place. Even-
Collecting,
Well-
reviewing, and
Yeah, we don't have
discussing
anything really,
with-
it was a discussion
well,
and
if
left
we
it
know,
with
for
the
example,
architects.
if we know the architects are gonna come up with a set of recommendations middle of November or
Mhm.
something, we could say, well, that's where it stands at this point.
could you find out from
Sure.
Paul?
Yeah.
Because, we're sort of wondering where we are, and I think they are also.
Well,
It's probably detailed on the timeline. I just don't have mine with me.
But we shifted the whole timeline by having these things as late in this.
Yeah, I think we had the original timeline had it set for.
Had those do it in like
So
Summertime.
at least
July or
we'd know the
something,
next
yeah.
step.
Well, I think
I
maybe
think we're-
something a little less concrete, like, instead of saying mid-November or whatever, now we're waiting to hear back from the, because that's what we're doing.
Yeah.
Thank you for your input. It's lovely to see so many people.
Okay. Human resources,
Yeah, we don't have it.
No.
sunshine committee.
Nothing.
We fully
worked there?
funded.
We're really happy.
We fully funded for a trip to Mexico.
Yes, we're hoping, put it all on black and see what happens. Spin the wheel.
Sunshine committee.
Did that.
Friends.
Friends.
All right.
Oh, the only thing on Friends that hasn't been referenced is that we are going to have a speaker we're having a workshop on the Ancestry.com and Heritage Quest. That's October 28th, and then in February we're going to have a speaker on Orange County Railroads, the history.
Oh,
Oh, wow.
then of course we have the trivia event in March. We're still searching for a venue for that, because
Excuse me, that was Orange County,
Railroads.
Orange County Railroads,
Yeah.
thank you.
the problem with the venue is that it's very expensive to do it at the Hall of Fame, and
Not enough room at the Lancey's, you checked the Lancey's?
well, the Lancey's room is not big enough.
Okay.
The schools?
The firehouses, we checked on them, and you really basically need to be a member
Well,
in order to use the rooms, except for one room. There's one public room over at Dykeman, which is 60 people, is the capacity, which is not big enough.
what about the senior center?
The senior center room, I guess, would be a possibility. I don't know.
So what's changed? The
Well-
attendance, or they've raised the
well,
price?
We made money when Delancey's donated the food.
Okay.
If we have to pay for the food, I mean, maybe the thing to do is to charge more, because they don't really charge very much for the event. It might be another way to go. I don't know.
Or was it 30? 30,
I think so, 25 and then
No, I think it might have been 30.
30 for next year.
With a
Or
better
maybe
seating
25,
plan,
it wasn't really much.
It might work. With
Um,
a creative seating plan, maybe.
we're looking at Burke as being, someone's checking out Burke as a possible site to lease. So, and we sell out at 120, so it's a pretty good sized group. I mean, a lot of organizations, when they have a thing like that, they charge a lot more than $20, $30 for the evening.
Mm.
We give wine, there's wine and there's beer included. It's
Mhm.
ridiculous.
We could have a cash bar.
So, yeah, that's a possibility too, cash bar. Anyway, that's up in the air. That's about it.
Okay. Unfinished business, the public forums recap, which
We kind
So-
of recapped it.
we have.
I had someone contact me suggesting, in a way, it's the same comment that came Tuesday night from that one fellow, that the whole community will be affected by what the county does with its space. And if it decides to, right now, a lot of the stuff has been sort of spread out. The sites have been spread out and rented in different locations, not all in Goshen. And if they stay with that type of an approach, if the county building is sold, the buyer is talking about leasing space to people in order to, pay the bills. This person thought we might be able to use some space in the county building or some other building that the county is no longer using. So I don't know. To me, that building seems like an impossible building to work with because of the structure is rigid and doesn't have lots of open space. There's really not much light except in those offices that are on the ends.
But there's nothing firm. We
Yeah,
don't know.
we
I mean,
could
this has been
just-
going on for 3 years. And
Right, we could just be
we-
hanging on a hook for 10 years waiting for them
So-
to decide what to do, and I don't see the point in that.
we have to
Been needing
proceed
a
with
library
what
for
we
a
know.
long time, exactly.
So-
And stay an independent body of,
That's what I was.
Pardon me?
stay an independent body, not to rent space to have a library someplace else. And
Right.
Well, yeah,
You
that's
know,
I think
rules
is one
about
of the.
what we
That's
can and cannot
Yeah.
do rent-wise too.
I think that's one of the strongest arguments against it is that we don't want to be renting, leasing space forever. That is an undue burden on the taxpayers. It's cheaper in the long run to own the building and pay for it.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So I just think we need to respond to requests like people are going to, that came up at the forum and it came up separately from one of the members of Friends, and I just think we should be able to say, we've discussed it and here are the reasons why we think that's not a good idea.
We can also take a look at whether it was designed to be a library, because if it's not designed to hold the square footage, the pounds per square foot that books require,
Mm.
it's a non-issue.
And I seem to remember there's really just one entrance that handles this side of the building, and I'm not sure about the other areas, but we would have to have a separate area
Right,
that we had control over the egress,
yeah. Yeah, we-
ingress and egress.
mhm.
So, but there's nothing that's been decided, and it's been going on for 3 years, and again, there's nothing to look at.
I mean, I just, one of the things that was brought up at the second forum was, what's gonna happen to Goshen if the county government is not here, if the seat of the county changes to something else. I just don't think that Goshen is gonna pick up and move, and then we'd be a deserted town.
No.
It's not,
No.
I'm not going to move because the county seat is in,
I think the better
Timbuktu?
question is why did Goshen put all its eggs in that one basket? And maybe not having the county here is making the locals understand that we have to spread out a little more. Do you know what I mean? Diversify a bit.
Yeah.
Having one source of income for the town was
Well,
really the smartest
there
thing.
And what, they
there
weren't
are
even a source of
positive
income, I
things
thought, right?
too.
They were what?
They weren't
They
a source
don't-
of income.
No, they weren't. They're actually a stress on the town. They own 10 buildings, 8 of them are off, 10 of them are off the tax rolls.
Right.
Even if they got the new government center they wanted, only 8 of those would go back on the tax rolls. There's still 2 huge buildings they don't pay any taxes on. They're not contributing to, the only thing they contributed was the employees would come and eat lunch here, which was nice, and they
Yeah.
would use this library because they were here instead of wherever it was they lived in the Ramapo-Catskill system. So, I mean, the big giant building and the traffic it brought with it is not,
Well,
Goshen hasn't collapsed, it's been gone for 3 years.
We
It's
kind of
hurts,
know.
but we didn't collapse.
We kind of know what would happen if
Yeah,
the county
because it's already
employees weren't
happened.
over here
Right,
for the
they're
past
not
3
here now.
years.
3
We're
years
dealing
now.
with it now.
Right, and
So-
Goshen hasn't up and died yet, so,
No.
and the hospital's gone too, and we're still here,
Yeah.
so I'm not.
And BOCES pays taxes?
I actually have no idea what BOCES does. I don't know if BOCES goes.
No?
I
Okay.
don't, I
I'm
would I would guess
surprised.
not.
Then it's
Yeah,
much.
I would think not.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, there's quite a bit of Goshen that's not on the tax rolls.
52%.
Yes, and it's because the county owns it,
Yeah.
or other entities. But
So-
that's quite a bit.
Yeah.
I was asked the question, if we, let's say we do a bond issue, just ballpark $10 million, does that affect, because we are, our service area is the school district, does that affect the school district's debt? They're allowed to have a certain amount of debt. This person was saying they thought that
No.
our debt in some way would impact the
No,
amount of debt that they're supposed to have.
no.
I said to myself, this is that old confusion between
Mhm.
a school district library and a school district public library.
Mhm.
Mm.
The only thing
But-
we have to do with the school district is that is our service area. We cover the same area, and in exchange, they collect our tax revenue. That's the entire relationship. So, whatever we do has no bearing on their debt. So we're
And
we're
vice
not a
versa.
line item in
Yeah.
their budget.
No.
We are a separate entity, and so our bond would be ours. It has nothing to do with them. It's just that's our service area.
Was there anything that we could point to specifically in the commissioner's regulations that,
Yeah, I had
Would,
it. I don't
um,
have it on me, but I can find it for you. And you can ask Jerry
Yeah.
Nichols for something right on point, because I'm sure he knows it better than
Yeah.
I do.
I just like to
Yeah, but we are a public library first.
authoritatively respond to that.
Right. Yeah, there's from the controller's office. Controller's opinions, and I can't think of what they are right now. There's several of them.
We should also check, we can get some information from RCLS, because there's a variety
Right,
of
they
such
would know.
libraries.
And yes,
In the
Robert
system.
knows this well too.
Yeah, so some of them are
Right.
school district libraries, some are school district public libraries.
Right. What
So,
would
um,
actually, and this has something to do with it, what would actually be in our best interest is to become a special district library. There's a bunch of orphans communities around that butt up against us and have no library, and that would
Mhm.
expand and get us out from under the school. So, another day.
Mhm.
Another discussion.
one project at a time.
I know, but it would help with the other project too if we did that.
Anything else?
That's all I had.
Okay.
Other than I thought they were both good meetings, and I think
I
both
did
of you
too.
did a very nice job to set it up at the beginning.
Thank you.
Thank you.
It was well done.
Yeah.
Yeah, nice turnout too. I was a little leery on that beautiful Saturday. I thought we were gonna be there talking to each other. But we had, it's a good 20-25 people showed up, that was nice.
We had at least that, right?
Mm.
Maybe
I
more.
think a little more on
More.
Tuesday night than Saturday, yeah.
Okay, there's the RCL's 2015 budget that I received a package, you
And I
received a
received it.
package. You are probably privy to this, are you not?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I don't know if you could speak regarding it. You know, I highlighted a few things regarding what we have to pay, which is actually less than we have paid last year. It says the RCLS unallocated fund balance would be used to offset 50%, which is $97,093. The remainder of the shortfall, same amount, will be recovered through the member service fee. It's my understanding in reading this that the state aid we got this year is at 96% of what we should receive. And
It's increased from last year.
it's right. It's still below what
Mhm.
they should be, but it's
Mhm.
increased since last year, and that is why there is a decrease to all the member libraries.
Mhm.
And the difference for us, where in 2014 it was 23.14, 32 cents. In the coming budget year, it is 21.63.83. It's down 7%. I don't know what needs to be discussed. It's less, unless you would like to bring something up.
It's what every library is probably discussing. It's like, yeah, if we vote no against it, we pay more money this year. It's
So,
we've
So
seen
it goes
that.
back
in-
to last year's figure if you vote no?
Yeah. Yeah. So.
Let's vote.
All right.
can I have a, well, it's a motion.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
just
Can you
read,
read it?
read that one, I believe.
The ballot,
Just read it off of this, the same thing that they sent. Well, it's the Board of Trustees of the Goshen Public Library and Historical Society on this day, the 13th of October 2014, approved the resolution to accept the Ramapo Catskill Library System 2015 budget as presented. Who will make that as a motion? Norma, seconded by Ellen Mary. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? No. I'm going to accept and sign.
Please.
Do we have any other new business?
I don't think so. But if I can have that.
I would have brought it to you.
That's okay, dear, I'm happy to pick it up and get it.
Okay. Any agenda item, proposed agenda items for next month's meeting?
I guess I'd like to have an updated timeline on
From
Okay.
Paul Mays.
Yeah, an
Yeah,
update.
Paul Mays. And if we could get an answer to that, you know, maybe the RCLS has a piece of paper that says this is the difference between a school district library and a school district public library. You know, just spells it out because there seems to be some confusion about that over the years.
But there's,
Yeah.
when you say school district library, they just mean the libraries that are inside
In
school
schools.
buildings. And then there's the school district public, which is just any public library that shares its boundaries
With the
with the school district.
Yeah.
There's
That's
no
the
third
difference.
one. Those are the two.
That's
Those are the
it.
two that have
That's
school
my-
in the
Maybe that's
name.
what we
Well-
need to just put that up on the website.
See, I think a library in a school is not a school district library in the sense that we're talking about. I think
Right,
some.
but in the law, that's. what
In
we
New York
need.
State, as far
Right.
as I know, we covered this recently.
Yeah.
There are association libraries, special district libraries,
Mhm.
school district libraries, and municipal libraries. Those are the four
Mhm.
library types. So if there's something they're talking about, I think
Well,
they're
the libraries
confused.
that have for their students, I don't think are in that list.
No,
They're
they don't count that. They're not under the.
That's right.
That's a different.
Yeah,
That's right.
right.
So when we talk about a school district library in a library building. We're not talking about the libraries that they have for kids.
Right.
Yeah, the issue is as was implied. The school district library is precisely, the school district collects taxes for the library, and the library supports the same boundaries that the school district is. Period. The issue comes up if the school district or some other entity owns the library building or the library grounds, so that the school district then has some control over the library in that sense. That's not our situation at all. We own our own building as is shown on the tax records, so.
Why are we, I mean, oh, never mind.
I
Sorry.
guess because I'm getting some questions.
No, it wasn't that, no,
Okay.
that's okay. Later.
They're asking if we can merge with the school?
No,
Is
they
that
No.
what's
want to know
happening?
the effect
Oh, of
our
the debt?
bond will have
Oh,
on
The
the
specific
school.
thing had to do with
Right.
but they're-
People don't understand it's two
Right,
separate
right.
budgets, it's two separate tax lines, it's completely separately, it's
Mhm.
separate financially.
Which we know this.
When
We
you
know
The
this,
case-
but
When
we
people get
haven't
their,
made
when
this.
people get their property taxes, they see their school
They should
tax and
see-
they
Right.
see library.
There's
Right,
your
sure.
school,
Just like the fire.
property,
Library.
right,
Apartments.
libraries,
Fire, yeah.
fire tax, right, it's all separate, and it says so right on your property taxes, library tax is a separate thing. No, I guess not everyone reads it. I don't know what to tell you, but it's a separate thing and it's always been a separate thing.
There's actually on a different topic, there's actually a bill, I guess,
Mm-hmm.
in the state that, cause currently, since the school district collects our taxes, I mean, we've been over this in the opinion that they should set this stuff aside and pay us out when we ask for it, et cetera, and we're nice to ask for it as divided up as we are.
Right.
There's actually bills in the state that, in terms of the search that they deal with,
Mhm.
that if they don't get certain money based on the people winning certs, that we will not get some of our tax dollars.
We will.
We will
Mhm.
not, yeah, they'll take away some of our tax dollars because they haven't collected it that year. So
Yeah.
I don't know where that's gonna go, but,
I better fly. I really, because there's nowhere else you're allowed to do that to anyone, but the library gets nailed left and right.
Right.
Thanks to the legislature. We should have a list of all the people who voted against libraries and put that up on the website.
Yeah.
We should. We're supposed to get a certain amount of financing, and then every year they find a way not to give it to us.
and they wanna take more away.
And now they find a way to make us responsible for the school's failures and, yeah.
So,
On that
that's,
happy note, thanks,
throwing that
Brian.
out there. Well, cause it's
It is, it's good
not,
to know
not
that
heard
it
of
could
at
be
all, and
coming,
it's,
yeah,
it's,
Thank you.
we need to figure that into budget at some point.
This is why, one of
Yeah.
the reasons Robert keeps suggesting we get out from under this arrangement, because it doesn't.
Right.
Too well.
Another meeting,
Yes.
another discussion. Since we have nobody from the public, we, no need for privilege of the floor.
Mm-hmm.
Is there any need to go into executive session?
Did you wanna discuss, just
Yeah,
put a
we
cap
can.
on the cell phone policy, cause I wasn't sure if you wanted to, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll do the executive we'll have an executive, if it's okay, if it's your meeting.
Yeah, no, it's fine, it's fine. Can I have a motion to go into executive session?
I'll make
Ellen, Mary, Norma, all in favor?
Aye.
So be it.